Welcome to Fintech Daydreaming, the podcast that dives into the world of banking technologies and the ever-changing landscape of fintech companies. We bring you real-life examples from global and local thought leaders, as well as experts working within the financial industry, and seek out the best stories from the front lines of financial services innovation, where dreams of industry pioneers meet reality. Hosted by Krogdahl and Ville Sointu. This is Fintech Daydreaming.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of Fintech Daydreaming. And this time it's going to be a special one. I actually think for most of you, if you're listening on the normal podcast channels, unfortunately, I think this is going to be much better viewed as a video, so please hop over to our YouTube channel and have a look there, as we are going to be wandering around the Nordic Fintech Summit here in Helsinki today, talking to a whole lot of different fintechs and banks and important people in the fintech world. Now, I'm Krogdahl, I'm going to be your host for this episode of Fintech Daydreaming, and as always, I will be joined by my co-host Ville Sointu, but unfortunately, he's not quite here yet. The reason being is because he had the huge chance and honor to sit on a panel discussion yesterday in London at the Finovate conference. So he is rapidly heading towards London Heathrow Airport to get onto a flight to fly directly here to Helsinki to the Nordic Fintech Summit. And I really hope he's going to make it, because he's sitting on a panel discussion here this afternoon at the summit, having another great discussion. It seems like at the moment all the conferences are starting up again, and most of them are face-to-face. I actually have got the privilege of being in London in a couple of weeks' time on the 5th of April to sit on a panel discussion at the Innovate Finance Global Summit. I had to look that one up again. Innovate Finance Global Summit in London, part of the UK FinTech Week. If you're going to be there, then come and say hello. Otherwise, this episode is purely about all the cool stuff that's going to be happening here today at the Nordic Fintech Summit. And I'm going to start off by trying to find the man that's been responsible for putting all of this together. So let's go, see if we can find him and kick off a great episode live from Helsinki. What a better way to start the whole show by talking directly with you. I mean, Janne, you are responsible for everything that's going on here, right? So tell us, what's the background, what's happening, who's going to be here?
Yeah, this is the Nordic Fintech Summit, which we are setting up now first time on site after a long time in just the world of webinars and so on. So it's really fantastic to be here, see all the people coming over across the Europe.
Yeah.
The event is about bringing people together, and when we talk about financial industry and the change what is going on, I think it's very important to bring together the different kind of players. So we have the traditional banks, we have the new neo challenger banks, then we have a lot of tech companies, starting from small startups who are maybe focusing on one certain area, to these big companies like Tietoevry, CGI, and everything in between.
And how does it feel to be able to do a face-to-face conference again after so long?
It's really great. It's really fun to actually see old friends, and then also you have these new kind of virtual friends you've been talking over Teams.
Yes,
Teams
absolutely.
for years, and now you see them finally in the flesh.
So what do you think is going to be the highlight today?
That's really hard to say. There's a few panel debates where we have kind of new and old banks discussing. So it's interesting to see like on what things they agree and maybe disagree.
Yeah, and you're also the CEO for the Helsinki Fintech Farm.
Yeah.
Well, I actually believe you had joined one of our early episodes on the podcast talking about that,
I did.
Right? But just for our listeners, why don't you want to explain quickly what is the Helsinki Fintech Farm and what do you guys do?
Yeah, so we're a fintech hub. We're a company which is specialized on what's going on in the new era of financial services. So our goal is to know very well the fintech companies, the fintech industry here in Finland and Nordics, and help the different stakeholders to find each other, to innovate together, grow, and so on.
Fantastic. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to the show, and maybe we have another chat with you at the end, right?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, thank you. Look at that, I found Thought Machine standing here. That's really cool. So tell me, who are you?
So I'm Varindarpal, Bhaura, Principal Sales Engineer, covering the EMEA markets.
Fantastic to see you guys here. So tell everybody, who is Thought Machine? What do you guys do?
So Thought Machine is a thin core banking system with a very unique proposition. And that proposition is that it allows customers to build their own products very, very easily and take them to market very, very quickly.
I've heard one of the specific uniquenesses with Thought Machine is that it's engineering led. You can program the products rather than configure them using what you guys call smart contracts.
Absolutely, that's completely correct. So we put a huge emphasis on teaching our clients how to build the products, and we've removed all the business and abstracted that out to a different layer, so banks are fully in control of what they do.
Fantastic. And you know, what is your unique value proposition compared to everybody else on the market? Because it's, let's be honest, partially saturated market space, right?
It could be, yeah, you could say that, but the unique proposition is that smart contract, right? It allows customers to be truly in control of what they want to build and offer to the market.
And cloud native as well.
Oh, cloud native is a given nowadays, let's be honest.
Yeah,
it should be.
It should be, yeah, absolutely.
So instead of being cloud enabled, we are truly cloud native. We built from the ground up. There's no legacy code. But I go back to the smart contract piece. That's where it's completely different. It's not just, here's a few parameter changes. This is from first principles, you can build whatever you want.
It's fantastic, and I mean, you guys are in the news all the time at the moment.
Hopefully you're going to be a lot more.
Yeah, you're rocketing to the moon, right, with some fantastic opportunities. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Nice to have a chat with you. Anything else you want to tell our listeners?
No, just watch the news. There's big news coming.
Watch the news, and if they want to know a little bit more about Thought Machine, how can they find you?
So they can go to our website, thoughtmachine.net. A lot of the information on there and all the contact points, like Janne over here, and there's a form, put an inquiry in and it will go to the necessary people and someone will get back to you.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Enjoy the conference.
Will do. Thanks.
All right, found another interesting fintech here at the summit. So tell me, what's your name?
My name is Björklund and I work as a data scientist and product officer here at ResultElf.
ResultElf?
Yes, exactly.
So elf as in little people?
Exactly.
Oh, that fantastic name.
As you see, we're only little people here at this firm.
So tell me, what does ResultElf do?
So ResultElf broadly makes decision optimization for the financial industry, and more specifically for digital banks. So imagine that you're a digital bank and you have like thousands or tens of thousands of credit applications coming in each month. Then you will need some automatic system to handle those credit applications. Okay, and so what would you say is your unique value proposition? What differentiates you from everyone else playing in this space? Yeah, so what we have recognized is that most everybody else focuses on building predictive models for predicting customer behaviors. But what we do is we build decision software. So we use that predictive models to make optimized decisions of who to give credit to, how much credit to give, what interest rate, and then terms. So basically we combine everything into the same package, which basically gives the risk managers the possibility to sleep well at night. Fantastic, sounds good. So are you running that using analytics capabilities, or are you using AI? So both actually. So it's a technology called mathematical optimization or linear programming, which is like 70 years old. It was invented in the 50s, but it's not really implemented yet on digital banking. But it's very much used in wealth management, for example. So all portfolio optimization and the Markovich model is fully based on linear programming. But we want to also bring it to digital banking and credit applications. Sounds fantastic. Do you think there's anything else that I've missed that you would like to share with everybody? I don't think so. You don't think so? Ask the correct question. Sounds good. Thanks for the time. Tell me, if our listeners want to know more about the company, how do they get in touch? How do they find out more? It's very simple. It's just ResultElf.com. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Enjoy the summit. Thank you. You too. Okay, continuing the walk around here, I found another really interesting company to talk to, Fintech. Tell me, what's your name? I'm Seweryn. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. And what's your business title? I'm a business development director in the Nordics, responsible for the Nordics.
Responsible for, and the name of the company is?
It's Comarch. We are like the IT software provider. We are one of the largest in Europe, I would say. We employ over 7,000 people globally.
So software providers in what context?
In IT, like we help banks in banking transformation, especially business and commercial banks, and corporate banks. So we work with BNP, ING, and European and global brands.
Okay, so you do software development.
Software development, and we have our own software as well. For example, like corporate banking delivered by Comarch, and ING won the Global Awards in 2019.
Oh, fantastic. So really interesting. So what would you say is your unique value proposition in, I mean, this is a very crowded market space, right?
Yeah, it is indeed. Today we'll have a speech and a business case with BNP Paribas, and we'll show extraordinary banking transformation they are doing. They are moving from the old legacy system to the new one based on cloud infrastructure in the microservices, and they are doing this transformation in less than 3 years. So I invite you very much for that.
Less than 3 years, that's impressive. Is that a core transformation?
No, it's more front and middle office transformation.
Fantastic. So tell me, if our listeners would like to know more about Comarch, how do they find you? How do they find more information?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Seweryn Bak, or you can go directly to Comarch webpage, comarch.com/finance, and see more of our solutions, and happy to chat.
Fantastic. Okay, enjoy the summit, and I'm looking forward to the session you guys are going to have later today then.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah. See you and talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, found another interesting fintech here at the summit. So tell us, what's your name?
Sure. So my name is Benjamin Delight, working as account executive for Tuum, which is a modular next generation core banking platform, and excited to be here in Helsinki.
So a modular next generation core banking platform. Explain that to our listeners.
Sure. So there's a lot of buzzwords there, but in a nutshell, Tuum is a back-end technology that is built on modules. We're a core banking platform and provide support for a wide range of complex retail and business banking use cases. And today, our customers such as LHV UK, Varatum and Swedbank are empowering, let's say, the financial innovation and great delivery of seamless financial service products to their end customers.
Sounds really interesting. So what is your unique value proposition compared to, I mean, this is a fairly saturated market. There are more and more core banking providers out there. So what makes you different from everyone else?
Sure, so it's a very insightful question. So of course, if I'm a CEO or a CTO in today's market, I'm spoilt for choice. Yes. I'm a kid in a candy store. There's 1,000 different vendors in the different components, whether core banking, AML, or KYC. Now what makes Tuum different is our, let's say, background in banking technology. Our founders have been delivering innovation and transformation in financial services for the past 30 years. We've taken this experience, productized it into a core banking platform that is built on modern technologies, and like I mentioned, very much built for speed to market, the reduction in cost and business bottom line through SaaS, cloud computing, so on and so forth. And as our clients expand and grow on the platform, new modules can be seamlessly deployed to meet the needs of their end consumers.
Sounds really interesting. Tell me, there's sort of two different paradigms when we talk about core banking.
Sure.
There's what I would call framework-led or templates-based,
sure,
or engineering-led, right? Mm-hmm. So the difference being that the first one is more about we will predefine a framework of products that the bank can configure.
Uh-huh.
Engineering-led is more about we enable engineers to program new products and new definitions of products. In which of those two camps do you guys sit?
Sure, so again, it's a great question. So our proposition is that we're a low, no-code solution.
Okay.
We take care of the heavy infrastructure software lifting. We provide our platform, which our clients can easily configure to provide the customer, let's say, propositions that their end customers need. Now, built around Tuum is the kind of independent, let's say, property or intellectual property of our customers, where they can integrate their custom business logic to provide, let's say, differentiating value propositions to their end customers. So ultimately, we're in the framework side of things, but we're providing open APIs where our customers can easily integrate various third-party systems into.
So open APIs, that means that you guys are a headless core, or do you have the sort of systems of engagement included in your product stack?
Sure, so we provide a back office user interface for our customers' employees themselves. And in terms of the customer channels, we work with various third-party providers such as Itronica and so on and so forth, who can deliver the bespoke customer channels for our customers.
Fantastic, sounds really, really interesting. Tell me, for our listeners out here on the world of fintech and daydreaming, if they want to know more about Tuum, how do they find you guys?
Sure, so if you want to know more about Tuum, then feel free to visit our website, tuumplatform.com. Feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn. Again, my name is Benjamin Delight, and happy to schedule a call to uncover more about how we can help you provide great banking experiences to your end customers.
Fantastic, thank you. Enjoy the summit.
Cheers.
So I'm walking around the summit here, and I found Mambu, and it would be wrong not to take a stop and have a chat with Mambu. Tell me, who am I talking to?
So my name is Johanna Viklund.
Yeah, and what do you do, Johanna, at Mambu?
I'm a business developer manager for the Nordics at Mambu.
Fantastic. And I'm sure there's no one out there who has not heard of Mambu, but for the very few people who have not, why don't you tell our listeners, what does Mambu do?
Yeah, so Mambu provides a cloud-native pure SaaS core banking solution, and we have over 200 plus clients in 65 countries.
Fantastic. And what would you say is the unique value proposition of Mambu? I mean, this is a fairly crowded domain inside of banking.
Yeah, exactly. So our unique value proposition is our composable banking approach, and that relies on a modern API-first technology.
Fantastic. I like the sound of that. If our listeners would like to know more about Mambu, how can they find out more?
So you can just you can just visit our webpage, mambu.com.
Yep.
Or please contact me, Johanna Viklund, on LinkedIn.
Fantastic, thank you. Enjoy the rest of the summit, Johanna.
Thank you so much.
Just bumped into another interesting fintech here at the summit. So, what's the name of the company?
The company name is Aura Cloud.
Aura Cloud?
Yes.
And you are Tommy?
Tommy Laswell.
And what do you do at Aura Cloud?
We provide a state-of-the-art cloud banking platform with very broad functionality, modular microservice API-driven solution.
So when you're saying banking platform, is that core banking? Or?
Core banking, yes. We can provide solutions for cards, accounts, loans, payments, covering pretty much everything.
And is that delivered as a service?
Yeah, it's a BaaS model, yes.
It's a BaaS model, so multi-tenant or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And SaaS, we can run BaaS or SaaS, but I mean, you pay monthly fee.
You pay a monthly fee, okay. And what would you say is your unique value proposition? Because I mean, this is fairly saturated space in the market, right?
Our unique USP is really very broad functionality.
Yeah.
We have over 45,000 product combinations to choose from. We can provide extremely cost-efficient running costs, so you really can be highly agile, highly flexible, and with a very cost-effective running cost. So
interesting. So who's your target market? Is it the tier 1 banks or is it the smaller?
No, not tier 1 banks. Small to mid-sized banks, financial institutions, Fintechs. So we are kind of focusing on a limited number of customers in the medium to small banking space, so to say.
Okay, fantastic. Specifically in the Nordics or globally?
Our main focus is Northern Europe, Nordic markets, Baltics, and we are later this year also jumping to UK, so expanding the business.
Fantastic. Are you finding that difference in regulations and regional differences is creating a problem for you, or?
It depends. If you provide just the core functionality, it has less impact. But of course, you have differences in the markets, in the regulations, etc. So you need to know what you are doing. So.
Fantastic. Okay. So if our listeners would like to know a little bit more about the company, maybe talk to you a little bit more about what you're doing, how do they find you?
You find us online, oracloud.com.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Enjoy the summit.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we've come here to meet with Ville. Is that pronounced correctly?
Yeah.
Ville, okay, and you are?
Mats Nordgren, VP Products at Ville Solutions. So what Ville does is we're offering a cloud-based core banking platform. Mainly is focused around lending and savings solutions.
Now, what is your unique value proposition? I mean, the whole core banking platform domain is becoming saturated. I mean, I'm looking around here at the summit.
Yeah.
You've got an awful lot of core banking providers here. So what makes you unique?
All in one platform, but still modular, so you could use parts of it if you wanted to.
Yes.
API first design.
Yeah.
In the cloud, so scalable to the extent that you need.
Yeah.
With support for your compliance processes out of the box.
Okay.
For the Nordic markets, we have a very good solution for compliance regulation around, especially around deposits and savings accounts.
So you also have a lot of focus on the sort of compliance domain within inside of each of the Nordic countries?
It's a big aspect of what we do.
Okay.
We support the full life cycle of your customer.
Yeah.
So from onboarding, KYC, KYB, credit decisioning, credit management, monitoring, servicing of accounts, invoicing, contracts management, digital distribution.
So basically a full stack, not just the basics of core banking, but everything around that as well.
Yes, and a little bit of CRM.
A little bit of CRM. And do you deliver this in a modular way, or is it a take all or nothing proposition?
It's a modular to the extent that you can use whichever components you want, but we usually deliver the full platform.
Yeah.
Then we can price it according to what you use.
So I will assume, based upon your definition here, that your target audience is not necessarily the tier 1 banks, it's the smaller banks in the Nordics.
It's neobanks, it's niche banks, it's fintechs who have a more specialized idea, typically, but not tier 1 banks so far.
So you're almost fitting in that sort of banking as a service domain, more than just being a core banking platform provider.
To some extent, but we're not a licensed player, so we're a tech vendor.
Yeah.
So we're partnering up with some of our customers together to offer banking as a service type services, where they have the license, we have the tech know-how and the systems, and we can help. That's what we do with Swedish customer Penser Bank, for example.
Okay.
Who are offering some of their balance sheet and their capabilities to partners. Both in terms of lendings and savings.
Okay.
And we handle the technical aspects of that.
Fantastic. Okay, so if our listeners want to know a little bit more about your company, your capabilities and products, how can they find out more?
Please start by visiting villesolutions.com. You can find a lot of information on our website. We can get in contact, or you can find me on LinkedIn and just drop me a note.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of the summit.
Thank you. You too.
So I'm walking around the Nordic Fintech Summit here in Helsinki, and I've bumped into an old friend of mine, Arto. Now Arto, you've just taken on some new, fairly exciting responsibilities. Why don't you share with our listeners what you're doing?
Absolutely. So, hey, nice to meet you all. So, Arto Sorvia is the name, and I'm a senior partner in Kindrel. What I'm really doing nowadays is basically leading Samlink, which is a fantastic acquisition of Kindrel. that we completed only a few months ago, and ever since the 1st of February, I've been leading Samlink end to end.
Fantastic. Now, for the listeners of our podcast that maybe aren't based in the Nordics and don't know about Samlink, do you want to share what is Samlink? What does Samlink do?
So Samlink is we are an IT house. We've been around for a while, some 30-40 years actually, if you count all the way from the beginning. And essentially, we provide IT services for a number of Finnish banks, starting from the basic core banking solutions, the channel solutions, branch office solutions, and essentially doing the full stack of everything, starting from the data center floor all the way up to the application development, and actually the things like covering also like a physical security of the branch offices and training of the bank personnel with the IT solutions and so forth. So it's really extremely broad portfolio of good capabilities we have.
So you're basically the full IT provider to some of the smaller banks here in Finland.
Absolutely, and the whole legacy of Samlink obviously starts. We used to be an in-house IT department. That's a long ago, but we still do, of course, have the from capability point of view, the legacy of that. We are actually very proud of.
Fantastic. So what would you say is one of the unique value propositions of Samlink?
So I think it comes from our very deep understanding of our customer banks. I think we've been around for so long. We are obviously managing their mission critical systems today, and if you look at it from the bank's point of view, what they really care about is business continuity, but also the future. So how we can actually help the banks to go towards the future. So securing everything that is there today, keeping it up and running, and then helping bank with the journey when they are digitalizing their services and basically creating value for their customers. And Samlink is in a unique position to basically provide a very unique high value services to the banks in this space between the old and new.
Fantastic. So for our listeners out there that maybe want to know more about Samlink, how can they find out more? How can they get in contact with you, Arto?
Absolutely. So the easiest is that if you go to samlink.fi, that's our official website, and you can find it from there, or you can just Google me or find me on a LinkedIn and drop me a note and reach out to me, and I'm happy to have a discussion.
Sounds good. And how are you enjoying the summit here today?
It's absolutely fantastic. I personally, I come a little bit from a different background rather than banking, and for me it's extremely eye-opening. But also I'm actually meeting a lot of old colleagues, people I really didn't expect to see today. So it's been fantastic to catch up with some of the old friends as well.
Absolutely, it's been good talking to you, Arto. Thank you.
You too.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
I've been walking around here and found Ensino, and I think Ensino is not a stranger to the world of banking and fintech, but it's nice to find Jaakko here. So Jaakko, why don't you share with our listeners who are you, what's your title, what do you do for Ensino?
Yes, so I'm Jaakko Ville, RVP at Ensino. Ensino is a cloud-based bank operating system, specializing as an end-to-end credit origination platform.
Okay, fantastic. So does that mean more on the system of engagement layer or more on the core layer?
System of engagement layer, integrating to the core layer solution. So we are not a general ledger or a core banking solution, but we have had hundreds of different integrations to various systems around the world.
I mean, there's a lot of providers in that space.
Yes.
So what is the unique value proposition that Ensino has got that separates it from the rest of the crowd?
Good question. So from my standpoint is that actually there aren't really that many productized loan origination solutions in the market that would be ready-made products.
Yeah.
But what differentiates Ensino is that high configurability. So we have implemented, we started our European operations just 5 years ago.
Right.
And within these past 5 years, we have already implemented into 9 different European countries. And so it's a bit less than two new countries per year, but I would say that that's quite fast how we are expanding. So that speaks for itself about the configurability and how quickly you can actually implement it.
It does indeed, and I mean, I understand there is some sort of relationship between nCino and Salesforce.
Yes. So technological side, nCino is built on top of the Salesforce cloud platform. So we, as a proper fintech, obviously we don't have our own data centers. We rely on Salesforce to do that. So we are reusing Salesforce's data models, and we have expanded those with our own IPR as well for the banking specific purposes. But we are 100% reliant on Salesforce as the cloud platform.
So does that mean that a client that wants to utilize nCino must also be a client of the Salesforce platform?
No, not at all. So there are many banks who really like Salesforce as a CRM solution. So nCino is a natural extension to that. But then again, like huge portion of our customers, they use other CRM solutions, and then we simply integrate with those. So it's not interdependent of if the bank wants to have Salesforce or not.
Okay, fantastic. I don't know, is there anything else that you would like to, that maybe I forgot to ask, that you would want to share with our listeners?
No, I think that one key hot topic that we're discussing today is the ESG. So now it's 2022, and everybody's talking about the ESG.
Yes.
And my own take is that nobody's able to solve that alone.
No.
And nCino is a platform for the lending, and it can incorporate all the data management from different various sources into the same platform for ESG. Something that we cannot do it ourselves, we cannot do it for the banks, they cannot outsource it to us.
Yes.
But we can integrate different data points and have that as part of the lending journey.
Fantastic, thank you. So if our listeners want to learn more about nCino, maybe get in touch with you to get a deep dive,
sure.
How do they find more?
You can find me obviously from LinkedIn. I think that's the quickest and easiest way, Jaakko Ville, or just ncino.com, and you can shoot there a demo request. It lands to my inbox anyway. So
fantastic. Enjoy the rest of the summit.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you.
Dude, you made it.
I did make it.
And you made it for your panel session here.
Yeah, just in time, in time. So I spent Tuesday and Wednesday in London in the Finovate conference. And it was a bit of touch and go because I had to take the morning flight today, Thursday, to get here. And my plane landed at 12, and I had to be at the panel discussion starting at 2 p.m. Luckily, no traffic, no drama in the flight, so I was able to be here in time. And I also had a good time in the panel discussion, actually. So, Paul, I mean, you saw it. I think it was a fairly fluent discussion, and we got some good feedback on how it went. So I guess I wasn't alone thinking that it was a fun discussion.
Yeah, no, I saw your session here. Obviously, I didn't see your session at Finovate. But you know, I've been holding up the fort all morning here. I've already spoken to a collection of fintechs and technology providers. Some of the big ones, some of the small ones. I mean, we just spoke with nCino. We've spoken to Thought Machine, Mambu, quite a lot of them. And yeah, you're right. I attended your panel discussion, all about core banking renovation, renewal. Some interesting, good discussions there, right? Well, what was your panel discussion in London about?
So the panel discussion, actually I did 2 sessions in London in Finovate. So I did a fireside chat about embedded finance and what that means for incumbent banks. Then a follow-up on that was a panel discussion with, for example, I had another person from Deutsche Bank responsible for API strategies. We were talking about open finance, which is another way of saying embedded finance. I think this what's one of the things we realized in these discussions is that this concept has a lot of names effectively talking about the exact same thing.
It is, yes.
So open finance business models was the topic of the panel, and we had a lot of fun. We came up with really weird analogies on what will the distribution model be like in the future, and what would that look like, for example, if we were operating a burger chain instead of a bank. You had to be there to think it was fun.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. I liked your analogy on the panel discussion you had here just a minute ago, where core banking transformation is like open heart surgery whilst running a marathon.
Yes, exactly.
Now I've run several marathons, and I was sitting there for a minute thinking, Christ, what would it be like running that marathon, having open heart surgery at the same time? And then, you know, looking back at my actual day job at IBM, focused on, you know, taking that discussion with banks on core transformation, particularly with an ISV-led agenda, that I agree with you 100%. I mean, it is high risk, but it's also high reward if you do it correctly, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So I thought that was a really interesting panel debate. What do you think about the whole summit here?
Yeah, I mean, before I say anything about that, I have to say that being in the panel, and I did mention this on stage as well, because we had 2 technology providers, and then in addition to myself representing Nordea Bank in this instance, we had another bank, but that bank was a neobank, or what we would consider non-incumbent bank.
Yes.
So being the only kind of old giant on that stage, of course, I was like the center of attention. Everybody wanted to talk about what we're doing wrong. And wanted to advise on how can incumbents like Nordea move forward.
Yes.
So it was a little bit like being in the middle of an intervention. I think that was the impression that I got, and I think I even mentioned that on stage.
Yes.
But yeah, so again, I've only been here for a few hours now here in the Nordic Fintech Summit. I think it's really fun to see so many familiar faces here. All the typical fintech companies that you would expect to be here are here. First impression, a lot of focus on core banking providers. There's a lot of what we would consider generation 3 and perhaps few generation 2 core banking providers here. And I think that's maybe a change. I think before the pandemic, if you went to a fintech summit like this, you would expect a lot of front-end mobile banking payments type of things. But,
especially the payment stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And now it's very, very heavy focus on the core.
Yeah.
So maybe that speaks to something.
I think it does.
Yeah.
There are 1 or 2 payments providers or payment fintechs here that we'll talk to later this afternoon. We're making a good sort of round. We're talking to the fintechs here. I think we've had some really good discussions so far, and we'll see what comes out this afternoon. But this is an interesting episode. It's been really enjoyable yet again to do something different, right?
Yeah, exactly. Face to face.
Yes.
Almost like a live feeling to it. Obviously, this is going to be a recording, but still, I feel like we're doing something live, face to face, and it's three-dimensional recording is always much more fun than doing it over Zoom.
Exactly.
As well, of course.
Okay, cool. Let's get back and chat to some more fintechs.
Will do.
Yep.
Cheers.
We're halfway through the Fintech Summit here in Helsinki. I figured it was time to just get back to you, Janne. See how you're feeling. You know, you are the mastermind, the brains, and the heart behind all of this. How's it gone so far?
It's gone really well. So everyone is really happy to be here after a long time, and it's a really warm and almost crowded atmosphere.
Yeah.
We had some challenges, a few rescheduling things due to some flights and COVID, but I don't think anyone minds if the program is a little bit shorter, because everyone is just so into networking here and seeing people. So it's been really great so far.
I think for me personally, being back face to face, meeting people, seeing old colleagues, reconnecting to the whole fintech scene here, it has been fantastic. It's been emotional almost.
Exactly,
after 2 years of being stuck at home and Zoom calls and everything else. And so from my perspective, even 1 or 2 people unfortunately getting COVID, not being able to make it, it's almost expected, right?
Yeah, well, that's the modern day. I think you have to kind of be prepared, and that's how it works nowadays.
Absolutely, yeah. So what's been your highlight so far for the morning?
I think there was the certain discussions that I expected. They were pretty interesting. Petri from ING was giving pretty straight feedback about his thoughts and how the business is going in the banking world.
Yeah.
Also interesting to see the newcomers and how they are building things, and they are very enthusiastic. I'm kind of like even jealous, like how someone is so passionate about building a business.
Yeah. And obviously, I mean, we have to say, one of the things that have made this whole summit so perfect is the fact that you've got Fintech Daydreaming here, helping you to promote and talk to all of the good guys here. And
of course,
as always, partnership
thank
to the
you,
end.
Fintech Daydreaming.
Absolutely. What can I say, right? Thank you. Let's talk again at the end of the day and see how you're still feeling.
Let's do that.
Because this energy level is fantastic that you've got.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
It's great. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, my name is Sarah Koch. I'm the CMO at Krogdahl. We are the digital lending system. We make managing the entire loan lifecycle super easy. So whether it's acquisition or servicing or even reporting and analytics, we've got you covered. We are the fastest way to get up and running, the easiest way to scale, and the smartest way to enter new markets. We have the most automated lending system in the market.
Wow, so that sounds like a unique value proposition. So if you would choose one of those things, what's your number one differentiator compared to all the other providers in the same space?
Oh, that's a very difficult question. I would say, I mean, we have a partnership with Bluestep Bank and we managed to take our mortgage lending tech from Sweden to Finland in just 142 days. So I guess it's the speed. But it's also, I mean, technically we're also awesome. So I can't make that decision.
All right. So that sounds like you're a very, I would say, fintechy fintech. Basically, you're quick, you're agile, and you have very strong technical competence.
I totally agree.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, who are you? Who do you work for? And what are you doing here at the Fintech Summit?
My name is Petri Syvänne and I'm heading the global sales in Tietoevry Banking. And what I'm doing here, well, we are of course meeting our valued customers and fintech friends here at the Fintech Forum.
So everybody knows Tietoevry. I mean, you're one of the largest technical service providers in the Nordic countries, if not the largest. But what is Tietoevry Banking?
So Tietoevry Banking is a software unit that focuses solely on providing software solutions to banks and to banking. So Tietoevry has nowadays split into 6 different business units, and banking is the unit that we from payments are part of, and then there are several other software units that the sole purpose is providing with the first-of-class software to banks. And hence it's called banking.
All right, and we're today here at the Fintech Summit. So what is the Tietoevry Banking relation to fintechs in general?
Well, I mean, our relation to fintechs is of course very appreciative and collaborative. So somebody said Tietoevry is the largest fintech in the Nordic. Well, I leave that up to you. At least we're a pretty big company in the Nordics, 24,000 people. But one of our key things is that we want to support the fintech community. So if we go out there in the world, like for example selling instant payment central solution to Maldives or several other places, so in the optimal way we would support the local fintech community and find the best partners to take with us, and hence sort of like promote the whole fintech scene in the Nordics. So that's sort of our course and approach towards fintech. So very much supportive, very much collaborative.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks a lot, guys.
I found a payments expert.
Thank you.
Going around this whole summit, looking at most of the people here seem to be around core banking. So finding someone who is focused on payments, this is fantastic. Tell me, what's your name and your title and the company?
Yeah, I'm Mikko Rieger. I run my own consulting company called Rieger.fi. And the company does, as it says, consulting in the traditional sense, working together with issuers, banks, but also larger merchants on, for example, their payment strategy. What's a bit of an oddball out, or my specialization, is to build a bridge between the Nordic markets, which are very digitalized in payments, and the Germanics. Ich bin Deutsch, ich spreche Deutsch, und deswegen kann ich das auch tun.
Fantastic. So would you say then that your remit is to take the leadership of digitization and payments in the Nordics to try and you know, entice the Germanic region to let go of cash?
That is a very Nordic view to put it, but from where we are here, you can actually say so. I would see more I would put it more into the context of cultural exchange, meaning that there are obviously different behaviors and different traditions and history in the payment space and the relation to cash as a payment means. One of the biggest mishaps or
things people were unlucky about in Germany over the last 12 months was probably that no more 500 euro bills are printed. So only those that are in circulation can be used. So definitely there is that aspect, but I think it goes two ways. In payments, if we think about data privacy, I do think, or from a German perspective, one could say the Nordics have a rather naive approach to privacy and payment privacy in the digitalization of payments. Nevertheless, there's both ways to look at, and there needs to be a bridge between the Nordics and a not yet as digital Central Europe.
I mean, you touched on a button there, right? Living in the Nordics, being Norwegian, although British, I won't go into the complications there. I want to believe that the Nordics are steaming ahead when it comes to digitization and payments and stuff, and you just said their naivety. So please expand on that a little bit. That's fantastic.
I mean, the adoption of digital payment often means that there is data involved. It's your own private data, and to trust the institutions, whether those are banks or the public sector, that's very common in the Nordics. And obviously, the history has given all rights to do so. There haven't been any larger scandals and so on. However, we live in Europe, and Europe is rather diverse in that aspect. Banks have done not always, or haven't always acted in the best interest of the customer in Central Europe, and that obviously has also led to people being sometimes more suspicious about what happens with their data and so on. So the awareness, the general awareness of where does my data go, who is doing what with it, and also the questions, as companies are responsible for consumers or their customers' data in general. So the questions about this: what do you do with my data? Can you document it? Who do you partner with? Who is your trusted partner? Oh, who is a partner that is sufficiently trusted in the market? These questions are much more prevalent and coming up much more important as they would here in the Nordics.
No, absolutely. Across Europe, there is a big difference between how data is managed, how we look at data ownership, privacy, etc. One of the things that I want to jump into, if I may, as you're sitting here, you know, spread between Germany and the Nordics, the German culture is still very cash-centric, right? What do you think? Do you think the Germans are willing to let go of the cash in their pocket and move to digital payments and digital channels? Or do you think cash will still have a strong foothold in Germany?
It will still have a role over the next 10-20 years. However, this role is rather diminishing or getting smaller and smaller, and at some point diminishing there as well. Currently, in Germany, specifically in the market, we have about 50, in the retail payment space, we have about 56% of card usage nowadays, which means actual cash usage is now at around below 45. The rest are other means of payments in between. What we see is, for example, big pressure from the regulator to go towards digital payments. What we also see is that the domestic scheme, Girocard, and the associated Maestro scheme that was supported by MasterCard but is locally settled, so it's not going over the MasterCard network, is diminishing, which means no new MasterCards can be given out, which most likely will result in MasterCard debit cards, Visa debit cards taking over that market rather quickly, as banks are incentivized to do so. So with this, and obviously our general trend towards mobile payments, which is much faster developing there, even compared to Finland, I would say. Now Finland is a bit specific here in the Nordics. I would see that within 5 years also Germans will pay 65%, almost 70% digitally and mostly card. However, the whole mobile payment space, that will grow much faster than compared to the card space. So if we look at cards and say that it took them 25, 30 years more than it took the Nordics, with mobile payment, the difference between the Nordics and the DACH, German-speaking region, is perhaps 2 years. Just to illustrate the catch-up that is happening there and the somewhat of a leapfrog towards mobile payments in this case. And obviously we could go on with crypto at some point, but that's a bit of in the future.
Fantastic, thank you. We might want to have you come on to our podcast in the future for a full episode, because I think this whole dynamic between the Nordic region of payments and the German region, which is still very cash-centric, is fantastic and very interesting. But tell me, if our listeners would like to know some more, get in contact with you, how can they do that?
I mean, Riegel.fi, go online, you find me on LinkedIn, all the normal channels. That's basically very easy to do.
Fantastic. I hope you're enjoying the summit, and good to talk to you. Thanks.
You. Cheers.
So, tell us, who are you, who do you work for, and what does your company do?
My name is John Erik Setsos. I'm VP of Identity and Innovation. I work for Signicat. We provide trust services mainly to financial industry. That means we help them with the digital onboarding, the digital identification, and electronic signatures and seals.
So we're today at here at the Nordic Fintech Summit. Signicat is a well-established company in this space already, but what is your relationship with Fintechs?
So the majority of our customers are fintech companies. We work with the regulated industries. They have high requirements for knowing their customers, which is why we're helping them with. And also then, as I mentioned, electronic signatures are an important part of establishing the customer relationship. When you do a loan or whatever, you need to do that in a trustworthy way.
Excellent. So final question, what was your main takeaway from the Fintech Summit this year?
So I was here to give a presentation. So I talked about identities, of course. I'm an identity nerd. We also had a roundtable on that with a very good discussions on identities. We had some people in, and I think that was very valuable, getting that feedback from potential and existing customers on their challenges with digital identity and digital onboarding.
All right, thank you very much. I hope you have a safe trip home, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Janne, this has been one hell of a fantastic summit. Are you happy?
Yes, I'm very happy.
You are?
Yeah.
What has been the highlight of the day for you?
I think it's been simply to just catch up with everyone, and it has felt like big reunion with everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any horror stories? Anything bad? You want to share?
No, nothing that terrible. So
No.
Basic hiccups, but when you have good atmosphere, you can just keep on going.
So you're proud of what has happened today?
Yeah.
You should be.
Yeah.
I think you should be. And it's been a fantastic experience. I think bringing everybody back together again, having face-to-face, it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great evening.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to joining you guys, and thank you for the fantastic gin and tonic.
No problem.
Thank you.
See you at the karaoke.
Absolutely, and next year for the next summit.
Yeah, everyone welcome there.
So, Paul, long day, a lot of interviews, a lot of fascinating conversations. What's your feeling now, since we're kind of rounding up the day here at Nordic Fintech Summit?
I think it's been a fantastic experience. Like I said earlier, the energy, the feeling of the people being able to get back together again, shake hands, meeting old colleagues, meeting old acquaintances from the fintech world. It has been fantastic. For me, having been stuck at home behind the Zoom calls for nearly 2 years, going absolutely mad, just coming here, seeing people, shaking hands, going even to your panel session. Not that I'm saying your panel session was bad, but going, I mean, absolutely fantastic. I love it. We need to do more of this, and I'm looking forward to going to London now in 2 weeks' time to do my panel session, but we need to do more of these.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you for the swipe about my panel. I thought it actually went pretty well, but maybe it's just me talking. Anyway,
so Ville, okay, absolutely. I think you were put in a very interesting position there, right? The legacy big Nordic bank between a neo bank and two providers of we've got the cool platforms of the future. I think you did it really well, right? Yep. I think you were going to be beaten up to a certain degree, and I thought that your answers were spot on and fantastic. Hopefully it was recorded and we can share it with the general world when it comes out. Yep. But my prepping obviously worked off. You had some great answers there. You wouldn't have done it that well without me.
I'll give you that credit off the record. But by the way, I was just talking to one of our previous guests on the podcast, Matthias Fraas, who we also ran into here, and he had a session at the same time as my panel discussion, and he was complaining that his room was almost empty. So I can always say that at least we beat the other stream. So,
and you know what? I think my highlight of today was when we found out that someone here actually used one of our podcast episodes to get insights for his interview for a job. And he thanked us for the podcast and the insights it gave him, because he came from outside of the banking industry and he now works for one of the fintechs thanks to us. And I think that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this, right? I love it. It is so good.
Exactly. It's all about the listener feedback. We are here for you. We're doing this for you, dear listeners. And again, we want to hear these stories more and more. I mean, this is why we do it. We are not getting compensated for this in any shape or form. The only compensation is your feedback, dear listeners. And we really, really appreciate it, whether that is done live like this, or if it's done online on all the platforms, where we, of course, want you to hit that 5-star button and write a review. Right, Paul?
Exactly. So, as Ville just said, we want you to smash the like button on YouTube. We want you to hit that thumbs up, and we need the comments because the algorithm likes it. It loves it. Without those comments, we just stay small. And we want to grow, because the more we grow, the more we want to bring comments and content to you guys. So please do that.
Absolutely great. Is there anything else, Paul, we wanted to talk about before we close this episode?
I'm looking forward to doing this again next year. I'm looking forward to following up with some of the sort of short snippets we've had with some of the people here to get them on for a full episode. Some fantastic fintechs here, and now I'm really looking forward to a gin and tonic.
That sounds like a plan. And for you, dear listeners, thank you for hanging with us for this episode. It's been a bit of a different episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We did for sure. And we will be back in 2 weeks' time. This has been Fintech Daydreaming.
This is Fintech Daydreaming.